Hi there, welcome back to Mastering the Young Band. In today's episode, I want to talk to you about how you can use volunteers to help you achieve your goals and really to kind of balance out the workload that we have as middle school teachers. When I'm thinking about all the things that I have to do as a middle school teacher, it's just a ton. There's so many things that we have to do. And so the question I always ask myself is, what are the things that only I can do? And what are things that I can delegate? And so what are the things that I can do? Obviously, teach students, whether that's in large group, whether that's in sectionals, or sometimes even the one-on-one. Second thing, lesson planning. I'm the only one that can lesson plan. I have to be the one that lesson plans and creates a curriculum, scope, and sequence for my students. Email, I would love to pass email off onto somebody, but I can't. So I have to be doing email. The fourth is assessment. Figuring out when to assess, how to assess, what to assess, etc. Only I can be the one that really assesses students. Everything else can be delegated. Let me give you some examples. So what I do, usually around April and May of every year, I kind of identify those parents through whether they've told me they're interested in helping or if I need help, or if I've just seen through their emails that they're a detail-oriented person that has the time to volunteer. I usually approach one or two volunteers in April or May, and the two big positions that I like to fill for my volunteer roles are, number one, I actually ask for a band librarian. I have a parent volunteer that prepares all my music. I just tell them, okay, here's the band, they need this piece, this band needs this piece, this band needs this piece. I text them, I say, hey, music's ready, come on in whenever, it's on the filing cabinet. They come in, and at their, when they have free time, they prepare all the music, they do the copying, if needed, the taping. I even have, sometimes they'll even like to put the measure numbers in the students' parts for me. It's amazing the time that some volunteers will put in. And that music librarian, as you know, preparing music, copying music, getting it ready just takes forever. And that's a huge thing you can take off your plate with a parent volunteer. So I have a music librarian every year, and that takes off so much burden for me. So that's a role that I highly recommend that you try to fill, is try to find somebody to be your music librarian. What I tell them is there's really only about 2 or 3 times a quarter that they come in to actually copy stuff. And as long as you can plan ahead, a couple weeks ahead, you can always have all that stuff ready to go. My music librarian even goes and puts it in my filing cabinet, so that way when I'm ready for it, I can put on the plan of the day and I know it's sitting there in those drawers ready to go. The second big role that I have filled, I just call it basically my band volunteer. This person comes in usually for about 2 hours a week. And what I have them do is that I have them text me in the weekend and go, hey, do you have anything you need done today? And then we'll talk about, yes, I have this stuff, or why don't you come in Tuesday? And I always have my volunteers come in on my planning period. That way we can talk through the tasks. I've tried to have volunteers come in when I'm teaching, and I try to write notes, and it's just too hard because they have questions and then they don't want to interrupt your teaching. So I always have them come in during my planning period, and then I give them all kinds of different tasks. Our t-shirts came in, so I have them get all the kids' names, and they roll them up and they put a rubber band and their name on it, so in class I can just toss them to the kids. We have a fundraiser that we do, a 5K. I had a parent volunteer just do a lot of the tracking and stuff for that. My parent volunteer will just come in and do little things, like maybe my music stands need tightened, and they'll tighten that kind of, they'll tighten the stands for me. Anything, just any task, again, something that anybody can do that I can do, but we can pass on, we can delegate. And it probably averages about 2 hours a week that this volunteer does things for me. Another one, now this one is an interesting one. At my school, I teach over 230 kids in my program. It's a lot. It's a lot for one person. And I live in the state of Colorado. Unfortunately, we don't have the greatest funding for education. I don't know what the current stats are, but we're like the 48th state, and per pupil funding is pretty low. And so the chances of me ever getting a full-time assistant are pretty low. So I asked my principal, I just asked her and said, hey, if I can get an assistant amazing. The things we could do would just be fantastic, but it's just not in the cards financially. She would love to. My principal would give it to me if we had the finances, but she just doesn't. So like any great administrator, she comes up with other solutions. Well, what else can we do to help you with that workload? And so I said, entering in practice grades is something that would really take something off my plate. So we have a paraprofessional at my school. My practice records are 2 weeks, so they're front and back. So every 2 weeks we collect them. I have some wall files in the back of my room, and she just comes on Tuesdays, the second day of the week, because we go every other day. We're on a block system. She gets our practice records, she takes them with her, and she actually enters them in for me. So she enters in all of my practice grades. She'll even sometimes email a kid and go, hey, this wasn't signed, and she takes care of so much stuff for me. Again, that takes off probably an hour to an hour and a half of time off of my plate. It's not an assistant. I would love to have an assistant, but that is a pretty nice thing to have taken care of, is having somebody just entering in my grades for me. Try some of that stuff with your principal too. A lot of times principals, they want to help you. They want to help you with that caseload. And a solution like that is a great way of getting some extra help without having that full assistant in there. As I mentioned, we do a 5K. I have I think it's 5 different committees for my 5K. And again, it's all parent volunteers. And it's amazing how, when you give the right parents the job to do, just what a great job they do with that. I could not do that 5K without those parent volunteers. If you've ever done a 5K or considered it, it's great, but it is a ton of work. It can be very profitable, but you have to have great volunteers helping you, or it's just too much for you to take on. So think about the things that you do as a teacher that only you can do. Again, it's teaching, it's grading, it's assessing, it's working with kids. Everything else, try to find those parent volunteers. You'll be surprised how many parents are willing to help you and want to come in and help you, especially when they see the great things that we do for our kids. So hopefully that helps you a little bit, just to take some things off your plate. As middle school teachers, we do so much. Use your parents. They can really help you with that caseload. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.